Hello everybody and welcome. This is Adrian and today I'm going to be reviewing Imperator Rome, the newest historical grand strategy game from Paradox Development Studio. Imperator Rome releases Thursday, April 25th, 2019 for the price of $39.99. Paradox Development Studio was kind enough to provide me with a preview key for the game, but that fact will in no way distort my opinion of the game, and I aim to be as transparent and objective as possible. I've had about 25 hours or so with the game, playing as 4 different countries with different government types and mechanics in different parts of the world, like Greece, Italy, Armenia, and Anatolia. As such, my experience and review of the game is based entirely on single-player Iron Man campaigns. Now, let's get into the different aspects of the game. First, let's talk about graphics. To put it simply, this is absolutely one of the most beautiful Paradox grand strategy games I've ever played. Imperator Rome has its own unique aesthetic and visual style, which is simply gorgeous to look at. Even while playing for long hours, my eyes do not get tired of the game, and if anything, I want to look at the game even closer and in more detail. Everything from the unit models to the weather to mountains and rivers is simply gorgeous. However, the user interface could seriously use some work. While I appreciate the classical Romano-Greek style for the user interface, after a while it honestly gets a bit stale to look at, and I'm thoroughly disappointed that regardless of what part of the world you're playing in, what culture or religion your country may be, or what government form you may have, the user interface looks the same. This is a serious missed opportunity for Paradox to immerse the player in the country that you're playing as. They would do well to take some tips from Crusader Kings 2, and we can only hope that we get some variety in the user interface in the future. Let's talk about performance. With a GTX 1080 Ti and an i7-8700K at 1440p resolution, this game runs fast, smooth, and efficiently. It's rare that there's any stuttering or hiccups in the game's performance, even on speed 5, and in my opinion, the performance of Imperator Rome blows out of the water all the other Paradox games except for maybe Stellaris. Imperator Rome is simply the standard for how a Paradox grand strategy game should perform. However, I do want to note one specific bug that I encountered in my time. In my Imperator Rome Armenia campaign, there came to a point that regardless of what speed I was playing at, the game would hang and freeze up and I could not continue past a certain date. It was an extremely strange bug, as if the game was thinking about something, but since the game froze up, I had to Alt-Tab out and end the program in order to restart the game. I also had a similar experience in my Carthage campaign, but while the game did hiccup and freeze for a second, I was able to continue and keep going in the campaign, and the campaign wasn't halted. In my Armenia campaign, I simply couldn't progress further, and I've actually had to halt progress on that campaign. Let's talk about gameplay. Imperator Rome, first and foremost, is a map painter. You take control of a country, you influence characters within your country, and you conquer other countries. While it is possible to build tall and not declare any wars at all, slowly growing your nation and developing your country, it is not the same kind of gameplay as, say, Victoria 2. There isn't as much to do in Imperator Rome during peacetime. There are only 4 buildings that you can build and 4 different types of pops who, although they have their own happiness, religion, and culture, are not what you could call a living being. The pops will not move around on their own or promote or demote on their own without some sort of state intervention, usually through either a governor policy or by you directly interacting with the pop. In fact, when you hear the word pop, think Stellaris and not Victoria 2. On one hand, having Stellaris-like pops is tedious, with a lot of micromanagement being necessary if you want to min-max to the fullest. Everything from assimilating to moving pops to converting the religion to using them to colonize provinces requires the click of a button. However, on the other hand, some people will enjoy this totalitarian, detail-oriented aspect of the game, and that you can literally do almost whatever you want with your pops in Imperator Rome. It should also be mentioned that you can, for the most part, rely on governors and their policies to indirectly influence your pops instead of solely relying on player intervention. But like I said, some people might want a more hands-off approach to handling and governing pops, and others will like the almost omniscient control you have. Regarding warfare, Imperator Rome is similar to other Paradox games, with generals, terrain, army composition, and army modifiers affecting combat. Imperator Rome doesn't break new ground here, but instead refines upon what games like EU4, March of the Eagles, and Crusader Kings 2 already had. However, how Imperator Rome does differ from games like EU4 and CK2 regarding warfare is how easy it is to go to war and conquer other countries. You fabricate a claim, declare, and annex territory. Modifiers like aggressive expansion and war score cost are far less restrictive and limiting in Imperator Rome than in games like EU4, and you can conquer vast swathes of territory in relatively short amounts of time. Other than dealing with pops in warfare, there is quite a robust trade system present in Imperator Rome, with each city producing a certain trade good and slaves being able to increase the units of production of trade goods in each city. When there is enough surplus in a province of a good, you can either transport the good to a different part of your realm or export it to another country, making you some money whichever decision you choose. In this sense, it is possible to enrich yourself and grow your country through both internal and external trade. Additionally, each trade good provides unique bonuses to provinces and potentially to your nation as a whole, depending on whether you have any surplus of that good. Let's talk about sound and music. The music is simply beautiful, and there is a variety of tracks available for wartime, peacetime, etc. It never feels repetitive to listen to, and the music does a really good job of immersing you into the game. As for sound, the game sounds great, with sounds from the terrain, armies marching, troops fighting, and the user interface all being crisp, clear, distinct, and never feeling stale to listen to. Although, to be fair, the unpaused sound can get a bit annoying after a while. Finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the verdict. Should you buy this game? I'm going to be honest here. Imperator Rome is a great historical grand strategy game. Of course, it's not a perfect one, and you must temper your expectations. Don't go into Imperator Rome thinking it's Victoria 2 or some antiquity-themed Stellaris. Really, what Imperator Rome is a conglomeration of Paradox grand strategy games, with a little bit of Stellaris, a little bit of EU4, a little bit of CK2, and a little bit of Victoria 2 all meshed into one. It might be too much of a map painter for some people, but there are things to do during peacetime compared to other Paradox games. It might not be enough of an economic simulator like Victoria 2, but the trade and pop system is far more robust than arguably any other Paradox grand strategy game to date. If you temper your expectations, Imperator Rome is a fun, detailed, beautiful, and well-designed game that is setting a solid foundation for additional content and expansions for years to come. For $39.99, in my opinion, this game is absolutely worth it, and you can easily get dozens, if not hundreds of hours out of this game, with a great degree of replayability and trying out new countries and new things. I absolutely recommend Imperator Rome, and you should go buy it if you are at all interested in Paradox grand strategy games. That's all for me, folks. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.